Handling invisible bombs. The hidden power of hazardous chemical regulations. This tiny bottle could threaten dozens of lives. Tucked in the corner of a factory, on a lab bench, or sitting quietly on a hospital shelf, a small container of chemicals may look harmless. Transparent liquid, colorless powder, or a faintly familiar odor. These may seem ordinary at a glance. But beneath the surface, these substances can unleash fires, explosions, toxic fumes, or irreversible environmental damage. One careless mistake is all it takes. This is why hazardous chemical regulations exist, not as bureaucratic red tape, but as the essential rules for survival in a world built on chemistry. Hazardous chemicals are those that can cause serious harm to human health or the environment due to their toxicity, flammability, reactivity, explosiveness, or corrosive nature. To manage such substances safely, nations around the world, including South Korea, the United States, and members of the European Union, have developed strict regulatory frameworks. These include laws like the Occupational Safety and Health Act, the Chemical Control Act, and the Hazardous Materials Safety Control Act. These regulations aren't optional, they are mandatory, carefully crafted guidelines to prevent disaster. There are 4 key pillars to handling hazardous chemicals properly. The first is notification and authorization. Before any company can manufacture, store, transport, or use certain hazardous substances, they must report it to government authorities and obtain the necessary permits. This ensures traceability and accountability for how dangerous chemicals are handled. The second is storage and containment. Hazardous materials must be stored under very specific conditions depending on their properties. Some require cool temperatures, others need to be kept away from moisture or light. Incompatible chemicals must never be stored together, as unintended reactions could result in fires or toxic gas releases. Simply keeping them on a shelf isn't enough. They must be separated, sealed, and secured. The third pillar is worker education and protective equipment. Anyone who works with hazardous chemicals must receive regular training on the properties of the chemicals, emergency procedures, and proper handling techniques. Moreover, personal protective equipment, PPE, is essential. Gloves, goggles, respirators, and fire-resistant clothing are not suggestions, but necessities. Sadly, many industrial accidents have occurred simply because safety equipment was not used or workers were not properly trained. The fourth pillar is emergency preparedness. Facilities must be equipped with fire extinguishers, emergency showers, spill kits, evacuation routes, and real-time monitoring systems. Regular emergency drills help ensure that workers can respond quickly and effectively to chemical spills, leaks, or fires. Time is critical in these situations, and a well-prepared team can be the difference between a close call and a catastrophe. These rules are not just good advice, they are legal obligations. Companies that neglect them face fines, shutdowns, or worse, legal action in the event of an accident. In recent years, several chemical accidents have made headlines across South Korea and the world. In one case, toxic gas was released due to a lack of ventilation while handling a volatile compound, affecting dozens of nearby residents. In another, flammable chemicals were improperly labeled and stored, leading to a fire that destroyed an entire warehouse. These were not acts of nature, they were the result of ignored regulations and underestimated risks. But chemical safety isn't about avoiding punishment, it's about preventing harm before it happens. Though safety regulations may seem burdensome, the cost of non-compliance is far greater. Beyond legal consequences, accidents lead to loss of life, environmental destruction, damaged reputations, and economic loss. Companies that invest in safety today are safeguarding their future. Technological advancements have made compliance easier than ever. Smart sensors can now detect chemical leaks and automatically shut down systems. QR codes on chemical containers link directly to up-to-date safety datasheets. Digital training platforms and cloud-based tracking systems help employers monitor whether workers are properly trained and wearing the correct gear. However, even with the best technology, the most vital element in chemical safety is still the human factor. Machines can't replace awareness, caution, and responsibility. Hazardous chemicals are not going away, they are essential to modern life. They fuel innovation in energy, medicine, materials science, and agriculture. The key is not to eliminate them, but to manage them with the respect they deserve. Regulatory rules are not just about law, they're about life. They are blueprints for responsible behavior in a dangerous environment. We live each day surrounded by invisible risks. But risks, when handled correctly, need not become disasters. The regulations for handling hazardous chemicals may seem complex, but at their heart, they are simple. Protect life, prevent harm, and act responsibly. These rules are not distant or abstract, they are immediate, practical, and vital. A moment of attention today can prevent a tragedy tomorrow. Every rule followed is a life potentially saved. Behind every safe lab, every incident-free factory, and every healthy community, there is someone who chose to follow the rules, someone who understood the power of responsibility. Handling chemicals may mean working with danger, but through knowledge, care, and regulation, we can transform danger into safety, and risk into resilience.